Hello, panel. Good afternoon. All right. Okay. What I was told was that anyone speaking, make sure you speak directly into a mic. That way we can make sure everything is being recorded. And my panel folks, can you introduce yourself and what led you to be here today?
All right, so my name is Levon Claudio. I am the director for family support and training at Gandara. I was a part of helping Tiffany when we first started doing the interviews with young adults and with caregivers. And she invited me to be here, and I love what is going on. I love all the flyers that is youth driven, so I was more than honored to be asked to sit up here with you guys.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sabrina Marshall. I'm president of BTO at the MLK Family Center. I've been a part of the group for about 2 years now, and what made me want to join this group is I believe that inner city youth need to know what mental health is, and it's a part of their health.
Thank you. My name is Whitney Dodds, and I am the founder of Wellness for the Culture. What brought me here today is I've worked with Beat the Odds for a couple of trainings, and I really like y'all because y'all really like me, and so I thought I'd show up.
My name is Module, but you guys can call me Mojo. I'm the president of the BTO at South End Community Center, and I really just want to spread awareness for mental health because I feel like it's a really important aspect on the youth in everybody's life. Sorry.
I'm Josiah. I'm the VP at the BTO group at the MLK Center. What led me to be a part of this group was I just see mental health on the daily with friends, family, everybody pretty much around me. So
You did it. That was great.
I'm Stephanie Marrero. I have also assisted in facilitating some of the trainings around mental health with Beat the Odds and really have enjoyed it. And I was excited to be invited back to be here today. You guys are doing amazing things. And I am the founder of Beneath the Healing.
Hi, my name is Tamara Crenshaw again, and I'm the owner and founder of Tools for Success Counseling. I was introduced to Beat the Odds through the Youth Mental Health Coalition, and I'm so happy to see all of you and to see the work you've done.
Here we go. I'm Shabazz Wilson, he, him, his pronouns. I represent BHN, but I'm also a therapist, so I'm a LMHC. We got our fellow therapists, right? Part of me doing this is because being from Chicago, there were people who were there for me coming up, especially growing up in Chicago. So I feel, I would just pass it on.
Thank you. Thank you to all the panel members. And I guess we'll just jump into the questions. So some of the questions are similar to what we just talked about. So it'll be like a continuation of the conversation we already started. I guess I'll ask the panel and you guys can decide who wants to answer. First question is, how can social media control self-image, and why does social media impact youth self-image so much?
Okay, I'll start. So I think that social media it has its pros and cons, right? So we can, you guys were having a beautiful discussion earlier about the benefits of it if it's using for marketing and the intention behind using social media. Similarly, though, it can have positive and negative reinforcement on behaviors. One of the things that we see a lot as mental health providers is constantly comparing ourselves to one another. Just like you guys were talking about, that happens in adulthood as well. You start kind of comparing lifestyles, who's doing what, where we are in our lives, accolades, all of those pieces. But being able to navigate that, I think, is one of the biggest pieces, and something that we're learning now is needed with social media. When that was being introduced, I guess I could speak to millennials. We're like in the in-between, where beepers were a thing, and then screens happened, and that wasn't really structured or navigated in any particular way. and we saw the benefits and the not so great benefits of being on those platforms. So being able to just kind of experience social media as a whole at the time didn't seem like a big deal. Then you start seeing people who are entering this space using it for influence, and what is the intention behind the influence as well? Are we following and seeing things that are good for us? You know, what is that algorithm really does impact you depending on what you're choosing to follow, whether it's going to reinforce your positive self-talk, negative self-talk, and just view of self as a whole. So I think the impact it can have is very dependent on how it's utilized.
So I will just say that one thing that I was watching, because I was on TikTok, and I was watching, and it broke my heart, is it was a clip, and maybe some of you have saw it. Kylie Jenner had came on, and she was making a comment about how the very way in which she influenced self-image and other women's self-image, she didn't want her daughter to necessarily take that on. So she was talking about how, you know, just recognizing that her family has set these beauty standards of what beauty is, and yet here she is now with the child, and she's like, I forgot her daughter's name, but she didn't want her she didn't want her to fall into that same trap. So when I think about how social media can impact your self-image more on the negative side, is just being aware of what we define as beauty and reminding ourselves of whose standards are we living up to, because we are in the culture now where we can pretty much buy the body type we want. And so I think that just kind of stuck out to me, because I'm like, here this influencer is, this billionaire influencer is, and now she's saying, I don't want to impact my own child the way in which I impact other women. Right.
Yeah, I think, for me, I think that one of the things I noticed the most about social media is that social media began to affect my social meeting. So what I was seeing online and my social media presence was starting to affect how you perceive other people in real life. And it was affecting to the point where I realized something I was seeing on a screen felt more real than something that was in real life. So that, for me, I think was the hardest part about social media, especially after the pandemic, where it became how we socialized.
And also, we want to make sure we hear from Mojo and Josiah. We want to hear from you guys as well.
Nope. Sure. All right. Sorry, I'm just wrecking the table up here. Okay. There we go. Thing. So as far as the social media is concerned, you know, I know too, like a lot of people may use it. It is influential, let's say, if people are going into the arts, music, right? And then let's say sports or any of the kind of arts. So getting those likes, you know, getting that motivation, and that's like a drug. You know, it's like those dopamine levels, right? It becomes addicting. So that can really, really affect people's images, right? So it's not all about like making cute videos and things like that, but especially for a lot of young people, when we're talking about the arts, it's major. And so when a person is really working hard or they're trying to, you know, get that attention, when they see other people, let's say in their region or across the country is getting it, and we hear about these artists, well, you know, I'm an independent artist. We don't need a label and this and that and the other, right? And they make it sound easy, but then when you have people trying to do it and be independent, it's not that easy. So it can really do something to a person's image. So that's also an aspect of social media too. I think that often does not get discussed.
So definitely with social media, it's I see a lot of, I wish I could be like that person, but I never take it like that. I take it as, oh, that's nice. I see you're doing things. I hope you go even further. Not even as much as that is, I hope you go further and I hope I go further with what I'm currently doing, because I don't like to take it in a negative way, because I feel like that's going to bring myself down.
I think social media really affects your emotional state. I feel like you're scrolling through videos and you're going through all of these emotions and you don't really know how to like control it, because like 1 minute you're happy, 1 minute you're sad, because you're seeing all of these things at once. So I think that's how it really affects like your day-to-day life.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone was saying. I believe that social media does control the way that you think and the way that you feel. because other people are displaying their emotions. And so a lot of times we are going to see these things and it's okay to react to them, but it's not who we are. It's not supposed to take over our whole day.
Sorry, I'm forgetful, so I got to read the question again myself. So social media controls my self-image, and I'm a storyteller, so I'm going to tell personal stuff so you can understand things also. I am a therapist, have a lot of achievements, a lot of letters after the name, house, dog, kids, all the things, right? And I still scroll, and I still see people with more, or I see like, ooh, they're in first class, or ooh, they got this, and then I try to do things exactly like they do it, and I still don't live within my means, and I find myself floating often into what I could have or should have done differently. And if I see a 25-year-old that has more than me, then I'm thinking, man, I've lost it. I've done it all. Like, I can't do anything else. And so if I can be influenced and forget exactly who I am on this space, I think it's easier for anyone to do the same thing. And so it's like Jalan was saying, have to be affirmed in who you are, but it's very influential because people show you their best parts and not necessarily what they're actually experiencing, that two-part, right, where I can show you all the good stuff, but maybe I'm posting a smile and then maybe I'm not actually smiling when I'm posting this thing. So that's how it affects. It boosts up what these beautiful images of what life looks like, but not necessarily reality itself, all the filters and everything else that come with that.
Thank you. Thank you. And like I was saying earlier, I want you to get in the habit of before you post, ask yourself, what am I posting this for? Because that's going to help you be able to navigate what it is that you're looking for and just have the awareness within yourself of like, why am I doing this thing? Because anything you do without thinking about it, it has an impact on you. So making sure you're looking like, what am I posting for? I said that to myself, Shalon, what are you posting for? What are you looking to seek back? And then I got 15 likes and my pride was hurt a little bit. And, right, I have to separate the feedback I get, the likes I get have nothing to do with that self in the mirror, right? They're two different separate parts. So absolutely. Thank y'all. Next question. What advice can you give youth who feel bad about themselves because of what they see on social media? What advice can you give parents, guardians, and mentors that will help them support a young person who is negatively impacted by social media?
I would say start by daily affirmations. I feel like your mindset is very powerful. It's about how you take what you're getting. It's about like how you interpret it. If you get like a bad comment, don't necessarily take it personal, but like maybe it's something you can improve on, maybe it's not, maybe it has nothing to do with you. So I feel like daily affirmations and really like just staying true to yourself, because like they're saying, you can see all these amazing things, but that's probably not who you're meant to be or what you're for. So if you get it, you're not going to get the same emotion that person's getting or even that same like happiness from it, because like that's not for you. So I feel like you need to stay true to your path and what you're doing. And daily affirmations, I feel like it never hurts. And also to like compliment others. And I feel like this generation is so like found on comparing. I feel like we're constantly bringing each other down by comparing when we really should be building each other up. When you see someone doing better than you, don't get jealous and like hate on them. Like compliment them, like, oh, that should inspire you. It's all about how you take it and like, you know.
Can you share one affirmation with us that you use?
That you're beautiful. Everybody is so beautiful in their own way. And I feel like your face, it could be your face, your personality, your laugh. It could be everything. I feel like every person in this room is so beautiful and they bring such a strong like energy into a room that they don't even know. And it's sad that like, you know, people question themselves about other people. In reality, we're all beautiful. So I feel like every morning, just remember that special thing about yourself and remember that you guys are all beautiful people.
Thank you. Yes, we loved it. Thank you.
So I more so want to speak to, that was lovely, by the way. That was lovely. I think a lot about caregivers and parents and just kind of the adults, right? I am a clinician and I have served a lot of within CBHI and outside of CBHI services. But one of the things that we talk about a lot is how can we support our kids and again, navigating these spaces. And one of the things that I think that you're speaking to that's really important is parents don't always know what their kids are seeing, right? And not to say monitor, yes, monitor, I'm a mom, but also trust your kids to have a voice of their own. Being able to say, okay, this is what you're watching. My oldest son is 15 and he's scrolling all the time. I don't have a TikTok, so on all the TikTokies and he's going through them. And I had to ask him, I'm like, so what is it that, because I'm seeing you just scrolling from toes to cats to like, what is it? And it's just this level of mindlessness. And so through that, we introduced a term in the house that, I need mindlessness activity. I need to detach. And at the same time, that's going through this idea of detaching by reconnecting in a different kind of way. But now you're exposed to the influence that you're going to see, right? So being able to allow your kids and the youth in your life to be an expert of their life, to empower those conversations is really important. And also just what does that structure look like? It's not about taking it away or saying, this is something that you shouldn't be doing or you're on it too much. I mean, I think we can all speak to that up here. We all are influenced one way or another, and it may not be through social media. You can see somebody walking down the street and just be like, wow, I don't look like that. And that's going to have an impact regardless on any way that it's reaching you. But at the same time, being able to empower our youth to speak as to what this means to them, because this new generation grew into always being plugged in. So asking that to suddenly be ripped away versus introducing a form of regulation and structure that they can then be empowered to maintain and see the benefits of only happens through role modeling. Something that you had said earlier here at the end was talking about when you see your kids are having challenges, that is a representation of yourself. You see yourself in your kids and saying, okay, so that's a part of me, which means if my kids are having a hard time with structure and regulation, I must be as well. So being able to step back and look at self as you're trying to maintain this with your kids and just with kids in general.
Yeah, I agree on that too. Another thing some advice that I can give is having quiet time with yourself. From the time that you wake up, a lot of us roll over and turn on our phones, but we don't really think about how are we feeling that day? What are we going to accomplish that day? And we listen, not even just social media, it's the music that we listen to or the TikTok sounds that we hear. A lot of things around us influence the way that we think. So if we take time to just, even 5-10 minutes, just sit down and just give yourself some deep breaths or get a journal and write down some affirmations about yourself. Write down who do you want to be in the next month or some goals that you have for yourself. Because if we spend our time on social media looking at everybody else's goals, how are we going to focus on our own goals and for our own future?
Yeah, for me, I'm also a father of two. So my oldest is 21 years old and my youngest is 15. And one of the things that I'm really big on is I make sure that they both know who they are, their identity. So when you know who you are and I understand who I am, then nobody else can influence that. I teach my son in particular, because he struggles with identity more. I teach him in particular that we fight more for reputation than we do for character, which means that who somebody thinks I am is more important than who I am. So I try to change that mindset as who I am is the most important thing. Who I am when nobody's around, when the lights are off and it's just me by myself. That's me. That's no filters. That's no, there's nobody influence. That's who I am. So be okay with that person. Because when you're okay with character, who you are, then reputation doesn't matter, because what they say about me, my identity is not in somebody else's pocket. It's in my own.
I'm glad that hang on. I'm glad that you said that because it reminds me of, I don't like giving advice, even though I'm a therapist. They think that therapists give advice. We're not supposed to. We don't really give advice. We ask a whole lot of annoying questions to get you all to think about things, right? But my thing is this, really working with young people to build a support system. So it's not just on the parents and the guardians. It's really working with the youth to build a positive support system, and it's also the caregivers, the people who are in the young person's lives, to actually have discussions with them, like what's going on, right? What's happening? Even if they don't want to be bothered, even if they're just like, still keep asking, still keep trying, because that minute, that day that you don't ask, they're going to notice, right? So it's better to try and keep asking and building up that support system and working with the young people to help find who they are. That's also important. Okay.
Some advice I have for parents is to be more understanding in that to teach your kids. I feel like a lot of parents just think that we're so strong and we got it all on our own. And that might be true, but there's nothing wrong with a little guidance. I feel like the majority of time we revert to social media because we probably don't have anything else going on. And like you said in the morning, like the first thing you wake up and you go on social media and all you're seeing is things that you're not. Like you said, take time for yourself and remember who you are. Because I don't know where, I'm pretty sure I got this off social media, but it's that everybody is who they're supposed to be. Like there shouldn't be two of everybody, and you have your own message and path that you need to do. So like, why are you following other people's footsteps when you should be creating your own? But yeah, I really think that parents should be more understanding and like guide their children. Yeah, they're strong, but I feel like they need guidance, I feel like they're just lost, and I feel like this whole generation is lost. So I feel like not only parents, but like even their parents, because I know it's a generational thing. So like, I don't want to point the blame at anybody, but I just feel like helping people,
So I'm going to speak to that. And my advice to parents first, just so I'm a mom of 3 littles, and sometimes I may or may not be guilty of handing them the tablet when mommy needs a break. Right. And so that I think everybody collectively shared this, like, would you call it the panini? I think I call it the panini. Like this pandemic, right? And we didn't know, and this is our coping mechanism now. And this is what we go to either to like get away. I know when I'm scrolling too much, it's like, okay, what's wrong, Whitney? Like, what's happening here? But I think I give my children things, and then they go away for a little while. And so, but I realize being present is going to be, it also helps me more. And then I take the tablets away, and then we go outside, and I remember, oh yeah, we used to do this. And so just kind of rebuilding what life looked like before. And you're right. I realize my children's behaviors all of a sudden is probably because they're looking at the screen more than having engagement with me. So I am taking accountability, if that's helpful at all. But something that we can do with the children, again, is encourage them and empower them. Meaning, it's 2 things I learned. You don't have to listen to anybody's thoughts. I think when I tell people, why don't you just delete them? And they're like, oh my gosh, I can't delete. They will think this, or the repercussion, the blowback, or they're going to think this about me, and then they're not going to be my friend. Well, if some of an opinion on the internet is causing you that much harm, that you're ready to fight and turn into a whole different version of yourself because someone's opinion is influencing you, you can delete them. It doesn't mean your relationship even has to alter. Sometimes I'm like, wow, I never even really knew that person. Now they're saying the first thing that came to their mind all the time. Or mute them. Y'all know what the mute button is? Okay, use it. It's powerful. You do not have to. You don't have to follow every page. Also, if you ever tried to like delete the stuff, so your algorithm, you actually control your algorithm and what shows up on your page more. You can follow affirmation pages. You can follow mental health pages. You can follow positive people who are out here to encourage you every day. I deleted influencers and makeup artists and people that were my age but out on yachts, and I ain't never seen a yacht. So I delete those people. And not because I don't like them and don't want to see the nice things, but I realized the impact that it was having on me and my emotions, and I needed to be present. And so I couldn't continue looking at these things. So I deleted them. And then I followed more positive people who wanted to encourage me and to inspire me. And a lot of DIY pages. For me, that's inspiring. A lot of plant pages. That's inspiring because it teaches me, yes, Tiff. It teaches me to do something with my hands. I'm like, ooh, I can do that next. Ooh, I can do that next. So what is it that you want out of the social media? And then make your page follow what you want. Get what you need from that page. Okay.
I want to add on to that because I'm sorry. That's a real thing. And I realized that my old social media, it was filled with quotes, like sad, depressing, blah, blah, blah quotes. And that's what I would constantly be posting because that's all my algorithm was. And then now it's like, it's affirmations, it's stuff about God, it's stuff about encouragement, it's stuff about like, it's all helpful, it's all resources now. And I feel like that, now that's what I'm posting. Now that's what people seeing me post. And I feel like that's also changing their algorithm because before it was depressing stuff and then people are going to post that, people are going to see that. Now now that I'm spreading like positive stuff, people will post that and see that. And it's like, it also starts by one. And I also realized that I feel like a lot of people blame their parents, but you just like showed me that like, they're human too, and they were kids too, and that they're new to this too. So I feel that's why I don't want to pinpoint anybody, but it's just like we all can learn and we all can be guided.
So nice. And just following off of that, so I just want to share that. So I am a mom. I have a 6-year-old, so I'm not quite into the social media yet. I've been able to kind of control it, but I brought my niece here with me. She's going to kill me because I'm referring to her, but she is 13 and she's not on social media. And I say that to say that I think just talking about to the parents and also you guys as leaders, like we have to live by that example. And so I'm not a huge social media fan. So some of this conversation, I'm a little, I fall into the, why can't you just detach? Why do you have to be so connected? But I do understand that for a lot of you said it's how you get your coins. It's how you get your money. I just like to look at it. And when I work with my clients, it's like any other thing that we have to do in moderation. It's like a drug. It's like overeating. It's like those things. So I try to really, help folks to balance that out. That I do think that there's pros and cons, but I'm saying that to say is that we as leaders, because all of you in here are leaders in some way or some form, we have to make sure that we're being mindful. My daughter watches me, so she doesn't see me, fiending for a like. She doesn't see me take this picture of mommy. Like I'm deliberately mindful of, and I'll say to her, sometimes she might say, because I'm aware that I'm not her only influence. She goes to school. She has peers. But she sees my reaction to it. So she'll say, mommy, you want this? You want to post this? No, I just want to be present in the moment. Or no, I don't like to do that because, and give her that rationale. So all of you have said so many great things. I just encourage folks to, to walk the walk. And as we say it, and a lot of you have given the response of that, you're aware of the pros and cons, just being mindful and make it in our daily language and reflecting back to your younger siblings or your other peers who you may see struggling with managing that time, just making it cool to say, okay, you can detach for this moment, or you don't have to post everything. Let's just be present. Let's enjoy the moment. A lot of times I see people and every second's been recorded. I'm like, when were you present and having fun? At what point did you just say, I'm not going to worry about posting every moment? So, just my 2 cents.
Sorry, I have another thing to say, but I kind of forgot it. It will come back. Mm-hmm. I think it was, nope, I lost it.
If it comes back, let us know because I feel like it's important. Josiah, yeah.
So for the parents, I say try to see it from the child's perspective. If all we have to do is scroll, what else is there to do? Are you coming up with, say things like, let's go for a family walk, or let's go hang out, let's go sit at dinner and not use our phones?
I remembered it. So I feel like during COVID, I feel like the reason why we're also on social media, because I feel like that was a time where we were all supposed to find ourselves, but that got taken away from us, so we resulted to social media. So now we see other people doing all these things, and now that's making us question ourselves because we never found ourselves, and all we're seeing is other people find themselves, and it's just like this giant confusion of like, who am I? Because we never got that time or that experience to go through all that. All we see is screens. I love going outside and stuff like that, but I feel like I was cheated off of that because now everybody's in their phones. Nobody wants to go outside. Nobody wants to talk. And then I start doing that. Now I don't want to go outside. Now I don't want to talk, but that's not who I am. I want to go outside and I want to talk, but I feel like it's cheated from me and like I don't get to experience that. So I feel like that's another thing that social media does. It takes you away from the moment. I would say that.
Something that I wanted to add is that during the pandemic, my family, we're very family orientated. So even before the pandemic, we used to go out and take trips and just go to each other's houses and just spend time with each other. And when COVID came, they're here now, the people, my mom, aunts, cousins, we all live in the same house. So one day, we'll be upstairs and me and my cousin are putting together a bench for my mom, or my aunt is hosting a paint night, or even there was times I'll go downstairs and my aunt's house will have spa nights. She'll have popcorn made, ice cream sundaes, watching movies, a whole bunch of stuff.
I'm going to your aunt's house.
So, and that was basically my mom and my aunt's plan, was to create a family house so that we can go over there and have cookouts and spend family time with each other. And a lot of times when we're all with each other, we do take nice pictures, but I see myself not on my phone and hanging out with my little cousins. And we're just sitting there up for hours laughing about a whole bunch of stuff in my kitchen. And it'll be like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'll see my aunt and my mom falling asleep. I'm like, just go downstairs. So I feel like social media does, it can come in the way of your family time, but then again, it can bring your family time together. Because, we're taking pictures and everybody sees, that we can come together. We can have moments where we can share memories. So, yeah.
I love that. And I feel like that's an advice we can give to parents, is to just spend time with their kids, like you said, movie night. Even the simplest things. I feel like even a movie night, that takes an hour off of social media. That takes an hour off of those negative thoughts going into your child's mind, is just to spend time with them. And not only is that affecting your kid, but it's affecting you. So I feel like that's advice I would give to parents as well.
I think all the feedback is great, and I love that we're talking about what teens can do and what parents can do. My biggest thing for parents is sometimes I see parents say, or just adults in general, I don't do that social media stuff. You still need to know what it is. Yeah. You still need to know what the apps are. You need to know what they look like. You need to see what people are talking about. Because just because you don't acknowledge social media as a world doesn't mean it's not taking over the mind of your child. And another thing I want to say is, I don't know if anybody's seen the challenge when people go out to dinner, everybody puts their phone down in the middle of the table. Whoever picks up their phone first got to pay.
Right.
So if you ever want to get the social media out of there, throw your phones in something. Whoever pick up the phone first got to pay, because it's just a moment to be with each other and be present in that moment. So we have a couple more minutes and one more question. The term self-care is trending. What does self-care mean? Is it just for bad days? And can you share examples of what you think self-care is, or what you do for your own self-care?
I feel like Stephanie's gonna steal my answer, so I'm gonna talk before. I'm just kidding. Okay, so I absolutely hate the term self-care because I think social media destroyed it.
Same.
But if I have to give a definition, it is self-preservation by any means necessary. It means you're taking care of you, and despite people's feelings, thoughts, or even financial. So it isn't also, I think people think it's like, I'm gonna get my hair done, I'm gonna get my nails done, I'm gonna go away for a weekend, or I'm gonna do these things. Sometimes it's, sis, you ain't washed your hair in 3 weeks. Wash your hair, have a hair day, okay? Sometimes it's making your doctor's appointments. This is for us, my OBGYN appointment. It's taking care of yourself so that you can show up fully. And sometimes it's radical self-care. I think your self-care should be should meet whatever you're going through. And so if you're going through a tougher time, then your self-care needs to match that space. And so that's when it becomes radical. And it's not for the bad days. It's actually something you should maintain something that I do with my clients is I make them schedule a date with themselves every week. And I don't care where it is, what you do with it. I don't care if you sleep. It's self-care. It's your time and making sure that you can fill up so that you can pour out. Okay? Because you can't pour from an empty cup. But further than that is also you still need to be full, and what's left over is for everyone else. And so a lot of us are not even taking care to fill our cups so that we can be, out in the world and do stuff. And so something that I do is I go and I have my coffee every morning at 6 a.m. with no kids around, and I stare out at the trees. That's my form of self-care. It's just me in quiet time, no talking, no nothing. And then the little monsters wake up.
I agree that self-care isn't just for bad days, because when we wake up every morning, like I said, well, for me personally, I do take that time off my phone, or even days where I'm waking up late, I make sure I take my time to at least do my morning stretches to become one with my body, because when I don't, I feel bad. My body feels stiff. So, do you hear me? Okay. Yeah, so doing stretches has made my routine feel so much better, even my skincare routine. I make sure I take care of my skin every single day because everybody's going to see my face, so I have to take care of that. And going back to me having my quiet times, I do like having quiet moments where I don't want to hear anything and I just want to lay, meditate, and talk to God.
Beautiful. I agree. I think one of the biggest pieces with self-care in a nutshell is just noticing. Self-care is noticing. Self-care is being self-aware and having that insight as to what's happening in your body. When we think about receiving information, something that can be triggering, your body's receiving it a certain kind of way. Your body is going to react. We talk about that fight or flight. And in those moments, we're ready. Something happened, I didn't like it, and we're ready to be very reactive. Self-care to me is taking that reaction and initiating an intentional response to what's going on. And that it is very important to maintain that. You practice those skills consistently, even when you may not feel like you're doing self-care. I can't tell you how many times my clients will be like, I'm doing really good in therapy. I think I'm ready to slow down. We want to maintain also, because there's this piece of, you want to know that your arsenal is equipped with self-care techniques, coping strategies, and you want to know how to use them. And so if you put something away for a long time, it's not going to necessarily always come back to you. I don't know, that whole saying, you could ride a bike and you never, I can't. I learned and I forgot. So that doesn't apply to everybody. But being able to put these things into practice, like every day getting up, I'm going to stretch, you'll notice it the day you wake up and I'm not in the mood to. Every day I wake up and I like to go outside. You'll notice it when you didn't go outside today. I'm someone who I'm a firm believer in God, and for me, it's prayer. The biggest thing I notice is when I'm not in my Bible, and that is probably the biggest impact that I'll have. And it's like, oh, okay, 3, 4, it's been a week. Okay, but I have my Bible app. Why? Because I need that redirection. I need that reminder. I surround myself with people who will just know and will send me things out of nowhere and will speak to me. And so self-care is something that it's for you to notice and also recognize intention versus impact, right? So you can have all intention of getting up and doing all these things, and you don't check them off. And that can make you feel like you didn't do enough that day. Like, I gave myself this to-do list. I'm going to do all this awesome self-care of, all the things that we see on social media, self-care day, like Whitney was speaking to, nails, all those types of things. But then you have this element of, I did those things on the outside and internally I'm still not feeling great. So the impact wasn't what I thought it had. So what's the intention that you're leading with? And is it coming from what you're paying attention to your body's going through, the physical response, what's happening in your brain? You're going to react physically first. The emotional response, that's a level of validation. Self-care is being able to self-validate, because we're not always going to be around people to give us that validation and speak to us and say, no, everything's going to be okay. You got to be able to give that to yourself, and then making those coherent decisions. That is a process that's happening instantly and constantly all the time in your brain. So taking that time to just notice through expression. You guys are all incredibly creative. What you've put together today is phenomenal. So how do you move that energy up and out? We have dancers, we have painters, we have writers, expressing yourself, a way that you can put that mirror back in front of yourself and see, what am I noticing about myself? I'm somebody that needs to move. I'm somebody that needs to pray. I'm somebody that needs to speak. These pieces are knowing you so that when things get difficult, you'll notice when you're not doing the things that you love.
I think that a lot of times too, I agree with everybody here. I don't like the term self-care. I do believe that a lot of times we're reactive with it. We wait until something is happening or something is building to then say, hey, I need time for myself, instead of being reactive, instead of taking the time daily or whenever you get the chance to steal time for yourself and learn to be okay with being selfish in those moments. I can't give to somebody else what I don't have. I learned this the other day. I just came from a cruise, and we were flying in, and they were giving the instructions about if the plane falls, make sure you put the mask on. The first thing they tell you is make sure you put the mask on yourself before you put it on the kids that are with you. And for me, the first thing as a father, I'm like, that's messed up. So I'm just gonna. And then when you start to realize, if I don't have air, how is anybody else around me gonna get air? So if I'm trying to give everybody else air first, and I pass out or I stop and I run out, then there's no hope for the person that's depending on me next to me. So I've had to learn to steal moments of air for myself, so that way I can continue giving air to everybody else.
We'll take a couple more answers in the interest of time. So maybe 2 or 3 more answers.
I would say self-care is like they're saying taking time for yourself. Things I want. I don't think I practice it enough now that I'm realizing it. I would love to just go outside. I would definitely say not use my phone at all, or like watch a movie or spend time with people. I feel like just the little things matter. Just going for a walk or a talk or anything. I feel like I have this one friend where I can't text or call her. The relationship isn't the same. I have to speak to her in person. And when I do, it's just so much better. And I feel like I need that, And when I don't talk to her, like it affects me. And I feel like that's also self-care. I feel like she's like my talk therapist. Even though she's not a therapist, she's just a girl my age. But I feel like I need that. And I'm glad to have that. And that's one of my ways I do self-care.
Well, for me, self-care is you and you only in that time. So for me, it's I have to shower like 3 times a day because I do. I feel like it's best to listen to music in the shower. It's my space. It's where nobody can invade me. If you do, of course, we scrapping. But that's me, and it's my own space. It's my comfort zone.
Thank you. Anybody else from the panel want to answer the question? Okay.
You battling this mic again, man, I'm telling you. Not much to say because everyone has said it, but I would say a thing to do with self-care also is setting boundaries, whatever that will look like, right? So you're the one that's setting the boundaries for yourself, how you interact with yourself, how you interact with other people. Okay, that's self-care. And then sometimes too, it takes doing things that people may find strange. If you have a lot going on, go tell it to a tree. Go tell it to the water. Go tell it to the sky. Go tell it to the grass. Go tell it to the animals, right? And you never know. You be quiet enough, you might actually hear it speaking back to you in ways that only you can understand, and that's okay. And that is perfect self-care. And that's also an example of spirituality. A person's spirituality is ultimate self-care, and it's a matter of finding out what that is for you.
Thank you. And self-care can be singing, dancing, writing, creating, any of those things too. So remember, any of those times you do that, that's self-care. And we're going to wrap up the panel. Thank you for everybody for contributing. And that's my time, y'all. I'm also out of here. Thank y'all for listening and interacting. And we're going to move into lunch, right?